First man. That was me trying. Here's Kim.
Give it to the pro. All right, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. Ab Yahuwah, we come before you, Father, as always, asking for mercy, Father, and thanking you for your kindness. Father, as we get ready to start this class, Father, we ask that you give us understanding, open our eyes and our ears so that we can hear and see all your spiritual lessons that you are putting out here through the Ruach, the set apart one, the HaKodesh. We thank you, Father, for your ultimate love gift, Yahushua HaMashiach, and what he did to come to pay the ultimate price to put us back in a position, Father, where we can one day fully be under the covenant. We thank you, Father. We praise your name, Father, because we know the name of Yahuwah is the greatest name of all. There is no more powerful name than the name of Yahuwah. We magnify your name always, Father, because again, Father, without you, we would have nothing. And Father, we thank you for this last fast that we did. We hope, Father, that got us closer to you. We also, Father, just thank you for food and raiment, Father. We thank you for so many things because your benefits, like the sun that's shining today, the nice breeze that's blowing, Father, all the creatures that you make that are out here enjoying it as well. So we thank you for all these things, Father. We thank you for all your benefits. And again, Father, we praise and magnify the name of Yahuwah. And we ask these things, Father. In Yahushua's name we pray. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. So this is where we left off at last week. All right, let me get you guys out of the way. All right. Make that small. Move you over there. All right, yeah, this is where we stopped off at last week. And if you remember, well, with the Bible Club, we've been going through talking about this guy, about good old Esau, our arch enemy, and looking at some of the things that he's done, to people's minds, how he's turned all the nations against each other while he sits in the middle of everything and reaps the benefits. So this is why it's so important for us to actually be, walking in these commandments. That makes a difference with people. You can see that somebody's walking in the commandments, see that the fruit that they're showing, and that's your brother or your sister. But if they're not, as far as we're concerned in this community, you're not keeping the commandments. We can't really put any type of credence in you at all. The book says trust no man as it is anyway. But we know if you're not at least trying to walk in the Hokim and Mishpatim and the laws of Yahuwah, that we already know that either your mind is brainwashed or you with these people. So, all right, Trey, are you ready to read, my brother?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, again, while we've been in the book club, we've been learning about Esau, right? And that's great because Noel went up there, him and Kim, and found some other information. And, and you guys should be doing your due diligence on this rascal. But we're gonna keep breaking them down. It's a lot to this. It's a lot to this person. And it might take you a long, long time. So many people have looked into this thing. It's unbelievable. But we have to, because this is who's running the earth right now with Hasatan. So we're going to look at Genesis chapter 25. We're going to look at him obtaining a birthright. Now look over here. He's saying, this is how it kind of went down. He's saying, I'm hungry. Who needs a birthright? I got to live right now, because he was a man of the world. He's a man of this world. What we learned last night is He's all about money, all about power, all about greed and taking over things, right? But then Jacob's saying, I need that birthright because I want to please Yah. Because Jacob understood about the birthright. And so we have to keep that in mind. We're going to see some more about that. We're going to see how this birthright was passed down today to all the patriarchs. So let's go to Genesis chapter 25. And we're gonna read that verse 27, 33 through 27 trade, and you're gonna jump down to 33. Actually, just read 27 through 34. That's no problem. Go ahead, Trey, when you get there.
Genesis chapter 25, verses 27 through 34. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison.
Do me a favor. Do me a favor, Trey. Go down. Let's start at verse 21. That's my fault. Genesis chapter 25. Let's start at verse 21.
Verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
And Isaac entreated Yahuwah for his wife, because she was barren, and Yahuwah was entreated of him. And Rebekah his wife conceived, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I like this? And she went to inquire of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said unto her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from your bowels.
Okay, so he's saying that there's 2 nations that's in your womb, and 2 manner of people, 2 types of people, right? It's gonna come out of your stomach. Go ahead. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold,
whoa. 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be
other people. And the elder shall serve the younger.
Okay, very important. And the elder shall serve the younger, right? But we can see later on that yoke is going to get broke off their neck during David's time. Go ahead.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau.
Okay, so what did we learn last night about the Khazarians, right? What did they look like? You guys remember? Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Trey.
And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
Okay, so he's 60 years old when she bare them. Okay, go ahead, Trey.
And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents.
Right, and we can see that Esau was a cunning hunter, right? He had those same type of attributes that Nimrod had. And we can see throughout history, when he comes to a country, he hunts the country down. He's cunning. Before you know it, by the time it's all over, he owns that country. All his people is in place to run that country, and he sucks all the minerals and resources out of that country. This is what he does. He's a cunning hunter, right? A man of the world. It says of the field, but he was a man of the world. That's what that means. Go ahead, Trey.
And the boys grew. Esau, and Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob.
Right, go ahead.
And Jacob saw pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint, or he was tired. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray you, with the same red pottage for I am tired. Therefore was his name called Edom.
Now, if we go to like I think it's the book of, I always get the book of Jubilee and Jasher mixed up. We know why he was tired, because he was out in the field in Nimrod's garden hunting. Y'all remember reading that?
Yeah.
He was out in the field hunting, and he ended up killing somebody too. But go ahead.
One of them that he killed.
Exactly. Right. So but see, we never knew before why he was tired. But he out in the field, and then he ended up killing Nimrod because he up in there, up in the king's garden hunting. Go ahead, Trey.
And Jacob said, tell me this day your birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me?
Right then, that's where he messed up at. See, because he counted, because remember, we've been learning that he was the firstborn. Right? Even though Jacob had his hand on his heel, he's the firstborn. So being a firstborn, he was supposed to get all the information of the Melchizedek order, and as far as the priesthood is concerned. Right? That's what he was. That's what that is. I mean, because we say when we look at it and say birthright, we go, okay, it's just a birthright. Okay, maybe he just didn't want to be responsible for his father's land and cattle and all this. But it has to be more than that, because Yah was rough with this character. He was mad with him. He actually said, he is hated forever for this. So we know it's more than just land, cattle, slaves, and all that. Okay, because again, he was a man of the world. He's not a spiritual man. You see that his stomach is ruling him. See, this is why we're going to continue with these fasts, because you got to, even me, I mean, we all have to get control over this flesh. Because see, Jacob was on a spiritual tip. He was a spiritual minded man. That's what we have to be. We can't be these fleshly, worldly people and letting our appetites rule us, because that's what this brother was about, is about, and always will be about. Okay? Go ahead, Dre.
Verse 33. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob.
Right. Now, he sold the birthright unto Jacob. You can go to any other source, the Septuagint. You can look at this with every type of book you can look at. Jacob did not trick this brother out of his inheritance. He did not trick him out of his birthright. He sold the birthright, plain and simple. But you'll hear rabbis and different people say this all the time. Well, Jacob, especially once they realize that you understand who they are and who you are. You know what I mean? Or you understand exactly who they are and you are who you are spiritually. Once they figure that, because they're going to, when you start talking to them, they're going to try to take you all over the place because they're cunning. But what you got to do is you got to be able to hem them. You got to be able to hem them up in the corner and let them and make them understand that you know what's going on. And that's when they'll say, well, it doesn't matter because the birthright was stolen anyway. That's what all they claim. But no, y'all, your ancestors sold this birthright. You know what I mean? Your fathers. All right, go ahead, Trey.
Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way.
It was still right there.
Go ahead.
Thus Esau despised his birthright.
So if we looked up this word despise, we would find that it means he counted it for nothing. All right? Now, let's do that, because you guys should have your blue letter Bibles up, and we in class right now, so we don't care. We're going to take our time and learn. All right. No, I'm going to call somebody else. Yasmin, I need you to get me the number for that word despise, and I need to know, break it down for me from your blue letter Bible.
Okay, it's number H9.
Wait, whoa, hey, I thought you were going to be struggling. She like, okay, I'm ready. Go ahead, little sister. Go ahead.
H number 958. To despise, hold in contempt, or disdain, or regard with contempt, to despise, to be despicable, worthless.
Right. So he's despising it. Ain't that something? He despised all this divinity that's coming from Yah. He's despising all this information. So we know that the Melchizedek order also what carries what? The laws from the heavenly tables, right? It carries the words of the Father. So he despised that. So in turn, Yah said he hates him forever. Just that simple. People say, how can he hate? He's love. Man, you better start reading this Bible. Thank you, sister. That was excellent. 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 All right. Now, let's go look at Matthew chapter 13 now. That was excellent. Matthew chapter 13. Yeah, that makes me feel so good because I know all of y'all can do this. But from time to time, we'll just check you out. So just in case you ain't up there with your blue letter, go ahead and put your blue letter light on, please. All right. Let's see. We're going to start at verse, let's see. Yeah, we're going to start at Trey. We're going to start at verse 38. And we're going to read a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna start. Like I said, we in class, so we ain't in a hurry. But we want to kind of see what goes on with these seeds. Matthew chapter 13, and verse. We're gonna start at verse 36, and we're gonna keep on. We're gonna read on down a little bit, Trey. Like I said, we ain't in a hurry, so we gonna get all. We gonna do some reading today. It's a beautiful day out here. I'm outside and I'm feeling it a little bit. I feel kind of good today, y'all. Praise Yah. So we're gonna try to get some understanding. We, again, we doing this for those that come up here and happen to look at the class, but this is for our community. So we're gonna take our time to make sure everybody in our community really understands this, right? All right, come on, Trey. Start at verse 36.
Matthew 13, verse 36. Then Yahushua sent the multitude away and went into the house. And his disciples came unto him, saying, declaring unto us the parable of the tares of the field. Okay, the parable of the tares of the field. So again, we're looking at this because we're trying to see the difference between Jacob and Esau and their characters. And this is going to give us an example of that. It's also going to give us an example how we need to be. And Trey, your reading is, boy, you must be practicing because I like it. Go ahead, son.
Verse 37. He answered and said unto him, he that sows the good seed is the Son of Man.
Mm-hmm.
The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one.
Right, because remember, so he said the good seed, that means that you're going to come up and be a nice little strong wheat. You in the field, right, with all the other wheats. But then you're going to have the tares that look just like the wheat. It's unbelievable how close it looks, right? So this is what he's trying to say. And they are from the enemy, right? Because they're a hybrid, they're a mixture, right? It's a bad seed. So in other words, instead of germinating, becoming a wheat, it becomes a tare. Go ahead, son.
Verse 39. The enemy that sowed them is Hasatan. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the messengers.
Right. So the Mashiach came through. He dug up the field, and he planted the seeds in it. Then here come the enemy behind him. Somebody, because I guess people used to do this back then, so they planted their own seeds on top of his to try to ruin his crop. But that's what whole Hasatan's whole thing is. Trying to ruin us, because when we look at the scripture, he likened us to trees, he likened us to plants. He likens us that we got to have fruit, all these things. It's all about this farming thing with him. And you know, some of us have had gardens. Nay, you always have a boss garden. I remember from last time we was out there, you always have a real nice garden. So I know you really understand this because you play in the dirt. Go ahead, Trey. The enemy that sold them. Go ahead, verse 39.
It's verse 40. We on verse 40.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, verse 40. I'm sorry. Hey, okay, Mr. Reader. Go ahead, baby. You doing your thing. All right. Yes, sir. Verse 40. Go ahead, son.
As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so it shall be in the end of this world.
Mm-hmm.
The Son of Man shall send forth his messengers, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and them which do wickedness.
Okay, so how do they offend? Because they're not following instructions. So you know what I mean? If you're offending, that means that you're not following instructions, and we have to be careful of that, right? Go ahead, Trey.
All right. Verse 42. And shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Right, because these people are full of iniquity. And we know what the word iniquity is, right? It means what? Not keeping the commandments. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 43. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears to hear, let him hear.
Right, if you got ears to hear, you better listen to this now. You better try to be a good little wheat. I mean, I know that much. You better do whatever you can to be a good little seed. And then once you're a wheat, bring forth some fruit. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 44. Again, the kingdom of the Shemaim is like unto us, a hidden treasure in a field, which when a man has found, he hides, and the joy thereof goes and sell what he has and buys that field.
Wow. So that's kind of deep when you think about it, right? This man, okay, I mean, here he is, he in the field. He found a little piece of something, like I mean, maybe a little bar, a piece of gold or something. He's like, wait a minute. So he sold all he had, right? Go ahead, Trey.
Again, of the Shemaim is like a merchant man seeking goodly pearls, who when he has found one pearl of a great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it.
Go ahead, Trey.
Again, the kingdom of the Shemaim is like a net that was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind, which when it was full, they drew to shore and sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but cast the bad away.
Right. So he done cast his net out. And once they went to shore, he took out all the good fish that he wanted to keep, and the rest he threw back. So you got to keep this in mind because he's giving us examples of how the kingdom should be, how we should be seeking this thing. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 49. So shall it be at the end of the world. The messengers shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire, which there shall be gnashing and wailing of teeth.
Go ahead, Trey.
Yahushua said unto them, have you understood all these things? They said unto him, yeah, sovereign. Then he said to them, therefore, every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of the Shemaim is like unto a man that is a householder, which brings forth out of his treasure things new and old.
Right, and that's my responsibility. My responsibility is to teach you guys, but even when you're reading yourself as a householder, right? Because I mean, your responsibility is to be able to search these scriptures from the front of the book to the back of the book. You want to be able to bring out of this book and prove your point. from the old and the new. This is what he's saying right here. This is why we go all over the scripture, to prove a point or to learn from the examples of others that was before us, right? All right, let's go to 2 Corinthians now, Trey. Chapter 4. Yes, please. Second Corinthians chapter 4. And let's see. All right, let's see. Let's start at we're gonna start at verse 11. You see. We're gonna start at verse 6, and we're gonna read down to verse 16. So we're gonna do some, like I said, we're gonna do some reading today. We're gonna try to see if we can get some understanding again from the old and the new, as always. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, we're gonna start at verse 6. Go ahead, Trey.
2 Corinthians 4, verse 6. For Yahuwah who commanded the light to shine out of darkness has shine in our hearts, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of Yahuwah in the face of Yahushua HaMashiach. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of power may be of Yahuwah and not of us.
Right, so we have this treasure. What treasure? The Ruach and this word, right? That's in us, because we in an earthen vessel, that the excellency of the power may be of Elohim and not of us. So this is why we did the fast that we did, because we learning how to kill our flesh. We learning how to grow this treasure that's inside of us. That's the whole key to this. Go ahead, Trey.
All right, verse 8. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair.
Right, all these things are going to happen in our life. The good, the bad, all around us. All these things we see, all the terribleness, the earthquakes, the killings, the rapes, the murders. I mean, the greed, it goes on. And then even we going through things on our job with our family members, stuff around us, right? Well, I mean, we're perplexed, but we're not in despair. Why? Because we have this treasure that's inside this earthly vessel. We have the word of Yahuwah that's inside of us, right? And we know when we trust him, we don't have to worry about nothing. Go ahead, always bearing about. Go ahead.
All right. All persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed.
Right. Praise Yah. Go ahead.
Always bearing about in the body the dying of Yahushua HaMashiach, that the life also of Yasha might be made shown in our body.
Right. So we that's what we always trying to do. We always trying to walk a certain walk, so people be like, man, what kind of cat is you? Oh, you really want to know? You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
For we which live are always delivered unto death for Yasha's sake, that the life also of Yahusha might be made shown in our mortal flesh.
Go ahead.
So then death works in us, but life in you.
Right, because this body is gonna decay. It's decaying right now as we speak. But life in the Mashiach. Go ahead.
We having the same ruach of faith, according as it is written, I believed and therefore I have spoken. We also believe and therefore speak.
Right, because we all have the same spirit that comes from the Father. That's what we're supposed to have in us if we walk in this walk. And if we don't have it, we need to be trying to work to do the things that we need to do to obtain it, right? So that way, when he speaks, we all gonna speak the same thing, because we all are a God. We all are on the same page, right? Go ahead, Trey.
knowing that he which raised up Yahusha shall also raise us up also by Yahusha and shall present us with you.
Right, because we got to be presented. We got to be presented before the Father. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you got to get through that judgment. Because if you ain't acceptable, you ain't getting no white robe and getting to that marriage feast. You got to always keep this in mind. Go ahead, Trey.
For all things are for your sake, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of Yahuwah.
Right. That's what we always trying to give him the glory with the way we walk, with the way we talk, and in our action. Most of the time, people that get in trouble when they have their own actions or they're seeking their own glory or their own lust. If you seeking the will of the Father and making sure that he gets the glory, you're gonna shine. Anyway, they're always gonna shine. Period. You ain't gotta even know you on fire. If somebody else see you, go ahead, Trey.
Verse 16. For which cause we faint, not but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day.
Right. So this is what's going on. Our flesh and the things of this world should be dying to us, but our bodies be getting older every day. But the thing is, we can't faint. And what did Esau do? He came out the field. I'm faint. He had no spirit about him. He fainted. Look, man, you can have this birthright. I don't care about this. Give me something to eat, man. See what I'm saying? He couldn't fight off his lust, the lust of his flesh. So we can't faint. We have to remember this. Now, let's go to Philippians, Trey. Chapter 3. So why we use these examples. And see, now that we've been studying like we've been studying, when we get to Paul's writings, we able to match up all this stuff to kind of really see where we at. And like I said, the more you do these things, you're going to run into people that, like your family members, you're going to go visit them and some kind of way the Bible going to come up and they're going to start talking and you're going to be like, wow, you're going to see exactly that they still babies in this thing. You're going to see that by their conversation and by the things that they don't understand, you're going to see how they're not filled with the Ruach. They need to be, but you can't force nobody to do anything, right? But it's just the fact that you're going to start to see, because everybody in this class, well, most of us in the class that we, that's been coming, we can see growth in this thing. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, and I'm hoping that you guys see growth in me in some of the things since we first started this thing. But that's the whole key. We always want to keep growing in this thing, always, right? And we got new people that's been coming diligently, and now they starting to understand things, and they looking at things. The only thing we got to do is get them down here so we can get them in that water so that they can get the full flavor. So we know, and we praying, and we gonna fast for that too. We're gonna fast for that y'all can bring us all back together like we used to be, so we can get the people immersed that want to be immersed. Because I know I keep talking about that all the time, but I'm telling you, you have to do it. If the Mashiach, that's the first thing he did when he started his ministry. The first thing he did before he did anything else, he got in that water. This is what y'all have to do, my new people, Pam and Patty. Got to get in that water, y'all. Got to. Jasmine's mother, got to get Annette in the name of Yahuwah. If you haven't been, got to get in this water. Now, I said Philippians chapter 3. Let's see. Let's do this here. Let me see. I said 3 and 19. Let me look at something. Let's start at verse 9. We're gonna read from verse 9, Trey, down to 19. We're gonna go ahead and just smash this whole one too. Now let's start at you know what? Let's start at the beginning, because this is gonna be a good one to use. Yeah, let's go ahead and start at the beginning, because I want y'all to see something here. And this is very important, especially when we start talking about the Ruach. All right, the Ruach, and we start talking about the Pharisees, because this is a perfect example of them and their action. Go ahead and start at verse 1, Trey. Philippians chapter 3, verse 1 through 19. Go ahead, Trey.
Philippians chapter 3, verse 1 through 19. Finally, my brother, rejoice in Yahuwah. To write the same things to you, to me indeed, is not grievous, but for you it is safe. Beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of the concision.
Of the concision. Yasmin, can you give me that word concision, please?
Yeah. Give me a second. Precision. It is Strong's G 2699. It means to cut up or manipulation.
Okay. And when he says beware of dogs, let's look that up just to be sure.
Mutilate also.
Okay, mutilate. And then somebody give me dogs. Beware of dogs. Could be anybody. Could be you if you want to, Jasmine. And I'm not trying to turn you into the official Blue Letter Bible person, but you know, it's okay because we all have certain gifts that we have to bring to the community. So go ahead, sister.
It's Strong's G2965. It says a man of impure mind.
Ooh, a man of impure mind. What else does it say?
That's all I kind of see. Impudent, I think, an impudent man.
Okay, so a man with an impure mind, right? And we know when your mind is so with that, so with it, he told you the same thing in Revelation. Outside of the kingdom is what? It's dogs. Dogs. People with impure minds. So again, that's why we fast. Try to help you get control over your mind. Your mind, right? Because boy, your mind got all kind of strongholds in them, and that's why we got to be careful about what we watch. Because you can be watching something, and Hasatan gonna play that thing in your mind over and over and over and over. You know, I mean, I had started, having lunch with some people at work talking. I got to cut that out because every time I turn around, they're trying to show me a picture or something that I don't need to see. I keep telling them I don't want to see that. But that's their whole world. And if I let that thing get in my mind, it's gonna keep playing over and over. And then before I know it, I'm in some type of weird distant place in my mind that I shouldn't be in. Now here comes the evil imaginations. All because I looked at one stupid thing. See? We got to keep that in mind. Go ahead, Trey. You're doing great, son. I'm proud of you. Come on, baby.
For we are the circumcision, which Elohim in the Ruach, and rejoice in Mashiach, and have no confidence in the flesh.
You can't have no confidence in the flesh. How can we trust the flesh? Look at the flesh done did to most of them. You know what my flesh did to me? And all the years of my flesh, me listening to my flesh got me in and out the doctor's office. And I got to try to hope and pray that Yah heals. You understand? But even if he don't, I still got to press forward. And I have no choice. I still have to do that. But these are sometimes we bring things on ourselves. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 4. Though I might also have confidence in the flesh, if any other man thinks that he has whereof he might trust in the flesh, I more.
Go ahead.
Circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel,
Now,
of the tribe.
hold on. Let me, whoa. Stop right there. I want you to start all over from here. But what he's trying to say, he's trying to show you that if any man trusts in the flesh, him more. What is he saying? As at one time, he's gonna break down what he's saying to you. Because at one time he was a Pharisee. And the Pharisee, that's their whole thing. They don't have nothing to do with the commandments. They have their own commandments. And this is why they was punishing and torturing the people with this foolishness. He was putting a yoke on the people's neck. So at one time, he was this type of man. Go ahead, Trey. Circumcised.
And in the middle of verse 5, Hebrew of the Hebrews, as touching the law, a Pharisee.
Right, as touching the law, as being under the law. That was his whole thing. That's why he was persecuting the church, because he was like, what is this way thing? Yo, they're getting away from the traditions of the fathers. Same way you're going to be persecuted since you're not trying to do the traditions of the fathers. Because we know what the traditions of the fathers are. Go to church on Sunday, eat what you want, just pray over it. Fill with the spirit and run around the church hollering and all this type of stuff. Putting up Christmas trees, having your kids dress up in bright colors. You don't go to church no other time, but on Easter you there. These are the traditions of the Father. So he's saying, as touching the law of Pharisee, right? Go ahead, son.
Concerning zeal, persecuting the church, touching the righteous, which is in the law, blameless.
Right, which is in the law. See, in the law and under the law is two different things. See, give me that word in, Jasmine.
Which word is it? Verse 6?
Yes,
In the law. Okay. In the law. Is in Strong's G1722 to be, it just says to be in, to be by, or to be with.
Right, to be with. So when the Mashiach said we are in him, I'm in my Father and he's in me. I'm with him. See, so we want to be with him. See, so when he's saying in, so we got to look at these little words like this mean a great difference. See, the righteousness which is in the law, which is in the commandments, which is in the Mashiach. That's what makes you blameless. Okay, verse 7. Come on, Trey.
But what thing to me, those I counted lost for Mashiach.
Right, because the things that was in him, he was a Pharisee. See, but now he count them as laws. I don't need the traditions no more. I don't need their way of life. I don't care if I'm at somewhere eating with some Gentiles and there's certain men show up who are the Pharisees. They can't stop me. See, I'm not going to get up and not eat with them. I'm not going to love my brother that's a stranger. It's impossible. I'm not going to do that. See? Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 8. Yeah, doubtless, I counted all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Mashiach, my sovereign, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Mashiach.
Right, because now he understands he got to have the Mashiach. It ain't because they don't even believe in the Mashiach. And they still don't believe in the Mashiach today. I was talking to a person at work and they're going to say, well, they started telling me about the Jewish people. I'm like, man, look, these people don't even believe in Christ. Well, see, that's right now because he's gathering them little by little. And I'm like, hold on. I said, look here. When he gathers them, it's gonna be peace. He's gonna be sitting on David's throne. He gonna gather them all at one time, and he gonna make them back 2 sticks in his hand. I know I can see you never read that, but I'll be nice about it. See, so he's saying I count all that stuff lost, all the teachings that I got from Gamaliel and all these cats. It don't mean nothing. It's like feces. Basically, what he's saying, it's nothing, because I want to have what I need to help me be blameless, and that's the Mashiach, right? The things that they despise, right? I mean, when we go to the scripture, said that the stone that the builders refused. Who are the builders? The ones that built the temple of Herod. They're the builders. I mean, they refused the cornerstone that helps keep the building up, because that was their temple. It wasn't Yah's temple. They had their own everything, their rules, their own Sanhedrin, everything. See? So we got to be able to look past what we see in the curtain. So because anytime Yahshua is talking, he's trying to show you something. See? So he's the stone that the builders refused. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 10.
Verse 9.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking 9.
That's okay.
Verse 9.
You're doing great, man. Go ahead.
And be found in him, not having my own righteousness, which is of the law, but of the righteousness which is of Elohim by faith.
Right. See what I'm saying? not having his own righteousness, see, which is of the law. Because that's what they think. I'm under the law. You know what I'm saying? What you doing carrying that mat? What you doing gargling? You can brush your teeth a little bit, but just don't gargle too much. Okay, well, you live too far to come to the temple because you can only walk so many miles. So you got to stay home. You see what I'm saying? Under the law. And this is what people get mixed up with. Their law. And this is what people get mixed up. See, we don't want, we can't be up under the law. And then their own righteousness. Well, I saved the whales. I rescue animals from the shelter. I even cut this old lady's grass last week. Okay, but you don't know the Mashiach. So it's nothing. It don't count for nothing. It's nothing. That's your own righteousness. See? You got to have the righteousness that's through the Mashiach. This is when we still look at Esau and Jacob. This is the difference between the two. Because his folks went on to be the Pharisees. See? The Hasmoneans and the, you know what I mean? This is who his folks end up becoming. But the Pharisees, from the very beginning, during the Maccabean revolt, they were strong. They was great warriors for the truth, right? They was Aztecs. So that means that they was very particular about everything to try to do it right, but they got corrupted. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 10,
Mm-hmm.
that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death.
Right, because we got to be able to conform so that we can put our hand on the prize. Go ahead, Trey.
If by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead,
Mm-hmm.
not as though I had already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that for which also I am apprehended of Christ Yahushua, HaMashiach.
Mm-hmm.
Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before.
Right, we all have to do that because sometimes I start thinking, I start getting into my feelings and I'll be like, man, what are all these things, you know? But like y'all was telling me, look, Saul, you can't, man, you got to let that go. How you going back to that? How can you know what I'm saying? You got to, no, man, you got to press forward. But that's what it's all about. We have to keep pressing forward. And sometimes we have to lift ourselves up because we all get in these certain feelings. That's why we have each other's phone numbers. We're supposed to talk to each other. You know, got a problem, I tell you, call me at any time. If I don't call you right back, it means I might be asleep. You know what I'm saying? But I will get back to you. So if you got anything you're dealing with, you're supposed to call each other. And all y'all know, you have to call me at any time. Because we have to be able to expound these things to each other, not hold it in. When you hold these things in, this is how Hasatan uses those things, just grind you down. That's why I just went ahead and started texting. I had to get it off. See, we're supposed to confess our faults. We're supposed to confess our weaknesses to each other. And when we do that, we still have to be perfect enough. What I mean perfect is mature enough that this is between me and you, but I need to talk to somebody. Never be spoken again. Then we got to pray and fast for that person. See, this is what this is all about, y'all. And we learning this together, little by little. Go ahead, son. Brethren.
Brethren, count not myself to apprehend. Oh, I already read this. Verse 14. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling.
Verse 13. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, he did. All right. I'm sorry. Excuse me, man. Go ahead. Verse 14.
I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of Elohim and Mashiach.
Great job.
Let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded, and in anything you be otherwise minded, Elohim shall reveal even this unto you.
Right. So, Jasmine, I need to know what that word perfect means. Because we always been taught that perfect means, well, he never missed a jump shot in the whole game. He He pitched a perfect no-hitter. Nobody was able to get a hit off him. Let's see if that's what that means.
I believe it means to.
Brought to its end, finish, wanting nothing necessary to completeness. Perfect.
All right. So that means, and what was you gonna say, Jasmine? Okay. So that means perfect. In other words, mature. So this is what we're trying to be. We're trying to be mature in the spirit. And when you mature in the spirit, you're gonna be, there's certain things you're gonna do. Right? Without being told, there's certain things you're gonna do. And your actions are gonna show whether you mature or not. Right? Because we shouldn't be wrestling with the same thing we was wrestling with last year at Passover. And that's another thing the feasts do. They gauge your growth. Like when you was little and your mother used to take I know when I was little, they used to do that. You take a pencil and put it over the top of your head. And then at the end of the summer, you can see where you've been growing. See, this is what we after. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse
16.
Verse 16. Nevertheless, whereto we have already attained, let us walk by the same rule. Let us mind the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so as you have us for an example.
Mm-hmm.
In samples. Verse 18, for many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you, even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross of Mashiach.
How could that be? Because of the way you could tell by the way what they do. They say they walking with him, but you can just tell. Okay, whatever, man, or whatever, sister. I understand. You say you walking with the Mashiach, but we'll be looking at your fruit, right? And I'm not saying like we sitting up watching nobody, but when you're around people, or like even when we in this class, you can tell who's doing what, who ain't. Go ahead, Trey.
Whose in instruction, whose Elohim is their belly, and whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things.
Right, they minding earthly things. They're not really after these scriptures. See, their flesh is their belly, just like Esau. Esau's flesh was that was his belly was everything. He was a man of the world. He'd rather give up the divine things to eat. See what I'm saying? So just like us, we got to ask ourselves: is Yahuwah revealing to us? Are you doing more for your belly, or are you doing? Are you doing, in other words, more for him than you are for your own lust, to your own gratification? This is what we got to understand. Always got to check ourselves with that. Right? All right. Now let's go to 1 John, Trey. I don't mean to spend this much time on this, but it doesn't matter. Like I say, we in class, but we want to get a good understanding of this. But Paul's writing, boy. Once you start really understanding what's going on, his writings are powerful. 1 John, Trey, chapter 2, verse 15 through 17.
First John chapter 2, verse 15 through 17.
Actually, let's go down to verse 23.
Verse 15 through 23. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Right, we can cross-reference that with 2 Corinthians 6 and 14. Go ahead, Trey.
For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world.
Right, and we see that's what got Esau in trouble. His lust for the flesh. When he seen that pottage, he wanted it. The lust of the eyes, right? The pride of life, right? It's not of the Father, but is of the world. Go ahead, Trey.
and the world passes away, and the lust also. But he that does the will of Elohim abides forever.
Right. So you got to do the will of the Father. The Father's will should come first before everything else, because he already told you, do what I say first, and all these other things, I'm going to add it to you. You ain't going to even have to even work for it. He just go put it in your lap out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Out of nowhere. I've seen it, especially with my wife. I mean, it's just like, it's crazy. I just be like, what? It just boom. Without no stressing, without no running around. But guess what? She constantly in this word. She meditating on this word. You know what I mean? She praying. This is what we have to do. You don't have to chase nothing. Whatever your little desire is, put him first. He gonna make it happen. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 8, verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
Little children, it is the last time, as you have heard, that the Antichrist shall come. Even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made shown that they were not all of us. But you have an unction from the set apart one, and you know all things. I have not written unto you because you know not the truth, but because you know it, and that no lie is of the truth.
Right, because we know what the truth is. The truth is his word. The truth is his testimony. The truth is his edu. The truth is his command. Go ahead.
Who is a liar, but he that denies Yahusha is the Messiah. He is anti-Mashiach that denies the Father and the Son. Whoever denies the Son, the same has not the Father. He that acknowledges the Son has the Father also.
Right. So that's why I was trying to tell that little sister, sister, they don't believe in the Mashiach. They have nothing to do with him. They keep talking about, well, when the Mashiach came. Okay, but he already came. See what I'm saying? Well, in their mind, he never came, but they still waiting and looking for him to come. He's already been here once. When he comes back this time, it's going to be too late because he's going to be tearing things up. See, but again, got to understand their culture. They worship Hasatan. So they are waiting on Hasatan to show up. That is their Mashiach. And this is what people don't understand. See, they got people's mind thinking, what if they're thinking about the Messiah? No, they're thinking about their Messiah, their Mahdi. That's what they're thinking about. They're not thinking about the Christ. Because they hurry up and made sure they killed him when he was not even understanding what they was doing. See, because it was hid from them so that the mission could go forth. Because believe me, if they'd have known exactly that by killing him, that what the implications that would have had, they wouldn't have did it. They were just that wicked. Not because they loved him, but because of the mission. Now, he sacrificed the eternal on the altar of the temple. He was not spiritually fit or faithful enough to be a Melchizedek or to be Melchizedek. He was not spiritually fit for that. So guess what? Jacob was. And Yah dealt with Jacob. That's the proof. Jacob's ladder and all these other things. I mean, he guided Jacob's life from then on. Right? And look what came out of Jacob. 12 sons. You see what I'm saying? The priesthood, the Mashiach, all these things. See? That's what Esau gave up. You got to keep that in mind. Let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling. What am I doing now? Uh-oh. Let me see something. Hold on. All right, there we go. Okay, I see what's going on. All right, so the firstborn has kingship rights. Let's go to 2 Chronicles, Trey. Chapter 21. we're just gonna hit verse 3 on this one. He's just showing you something about Jehoshaphat, how he slept with his father and was buried with his father in the city of David. And Jehoram, his son, reigned in his stead. Okay, go ahead. 21 and 3. I'm just trying to show something right here. Go ahead.
2 Chronicles, verse 3. And their father gave them great gifts of silver and of gold and of precious things, with fenced cities in Judah, but the kingdom gave he to Jehoram, because he was the firstborn.
All right, so you can see how things kingship right. So the kingdom, right. Kingship rights, but we can see how that the kingship was given to this brother, right? All right, let's go to Psalms 89. Psalms 89 and 27. The firstborn gets, he gets a lot of material thing, but he also is supposed to get all these, spirit, he's supposed to be the most spiritual, I'll put it that way. And usually if you look at that, when you really look at some of these things, the firstborn usually is the one that she's supposed to be. Whoever the firstborn, if you're a firstborn, you're supposed to be more spiritual than the rest of your siblings. And you're supposed to be able to show them this, right? Psalms 89 and 27, Trey. Oh, start at verse 18 and read down to 27. See if y'all can, you're gonna see who this is. Psalms 89, 17 through 27. Or through 29. Let's go all the way down to 29. Go ahead. Go ahead, Trey.
Psalms chapter 89, verse 17 through 29. For you are the glory of their strength, and in your Father our horn shall be exalted, or our nation shall be exalted. For Yahuwah is our defense, and the set apart one of Israel is our king.
So Yahuwah is our defense, and the Holy One of Israel is our king. We know who the Holy One of Israel is. It's the Mashiach. Go ahead.
Then you spoke in a vision to your set apart one, and said, I have laid help upon one that is mighty. I have exalted one chosen of the people.
Out of the people. Go ahead.
I have found David, my servant. With my set apart oil have I anointed him, with whom my hand shall be established. My arm also shall strengthen him.
Mashiach gonna strengthen him. Go ahead.
The enemy shall not exact upon him, nor the son of the wicked, nor the son of wickedness afflict him. And I will beat down his foes before his face and plague them that hate him.
Wow. Go ahead.
But my faithfulness
beat down. Beat down. Go ahead. Verse 24.
But my faithfulness and my mercy shall be with him, and in my name shall his horn be exalted. I will set his hand also in the sea, and his right hand in the rivers. He shall cry unto me, you are my Father, my Elohim, and the rock of my salvation. Also, I will make him my firstborn, higher than the kings of the earth.
Okay, so we see that the Mashiach is the Father's firstborn, and we know that he's higher than all the kings of the earth, right? All right, let's go to Job.
I need somebody to take over for me.
Okay, let's go to Job now, chapter 36 and verse 7. Come on, wife, you can read. Maybe we'll get Noel and a few other people after that. Job chapter 36 and 7.
He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but the kings are they on the throne. Yea, he does establish them forever, and they are exalted.
And they are exalted. Let's go to Genesis chapter 49. Look at this other thing. Like Reuben. I had some other slides and I don't know what I did with them things because I had actually broke down how the birthright actually was transferred all the way down. And how because all the brothers was doing all these different things that they were doing. I think that's going to be later on in here. Genesis chapter 49, verse 3-4. Go ahead, wife.
Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, though thou not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defilest thou it. He went up to the couch.
Right. So he defiled himself with his father's bed. Some people say that was his mother and all of that. I mean, all I know is he unstable as water. So so being the firstborn, he lost that. He couldn't get the Melchizedek, and it ended up being passed down from him. Right? So let's keep going. King priest, firstborn Melchizedek priesthood. One who has the position of king, firstborn, high priest, king, leadership role in the Melchizedek priesthood, who is fit in the spirit. See, this last brother wasn't even fit in the spirit because he was weak, right? And faithful to rule and reign over others. How is he faithful to rule and reign over others? Because he's all in the Father's word. We know that even when there was a king that sat on the throne, who can tell me what was required for him to have sitting right next to the throne at all times?
Book.
Right, the commandments. Torah. He was supposed to have that all the time. That's what he was supposed to use to judge the people and everything else, right? A kinsman redeemer. See, he's going to do what he has to do to redeem his kinsman, no matter what. Mashiach was a kinsman redeemer, right? We're going to show you some other people was kinsman redeemer. A faithful son. See, he's faithful. Everything that he does must be able to lay down his life for others, right? We can give an example of Noah. Noah was a kinsman redeemer, right? Because he went ahead and did what he had to do to save his household and save his family. Must be able to endure righteous hardship. You think Noah you think that wasn't a hardship on that brother to preach to these people for 120 years? Then he still got to build this boat while they mocking him and laughing at him. See, but you got to be able to endure that stuff, right? Now, so kingship awaits for all of us, right? Now, by being a faithful son and willing to lay down or offer up your life for others, you will qualify to rule and reign over others and become an heir of your father's possession. That's how Mashiach and others did. And we see this later. So we're going to see this later because we're going to start getting to other things so you can see this thing. For the spirit of Elohim does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. This is why we need this spirit of Elohim, so that we can be a faithful son. And that if we have to, that we would be willing to lay down our life, our life for others. We have to do that, because what do we want? We want the Father's possession, which is what? The kingdom. This is why we doing all this. We trying to get in this kingdom. We want to see his face. We want to be living like we want to live according to his promises that he gave us forever. Otherwise, we just like everybody else. Today's Saturday, wash your car, go out here and do whatever you want, go out here and make some money, all these things. He told us to set this day apart. And that's what we're doing. So the Amplified Bible in Revelation 3:21 says that he who overcomes the world through believing that Yahusha is the son of Elohim, and he who keeps my deeds, doing things that please me until the very end. It's one thing to know this thing, but we have to, another thing where we have to actually practice these righteous acts and try to walk in this thing to the end. To him, I will give authority and power over the nation. So guess what? If you can do these things, you're going to be a king and you're going to rule. Kingship and queenship awaits. Now, let's look at this genealogy here. Adam was the world's first born, and he taught Seth. Seth is taught the Melchizedek order, passes it down from generation to generation, and he calls on Yahuwah. We can go to Jubilee 4:12 and see that, right? Now, Adam was the world's firstborn and taught Seth. So now, so from Seth, Enoch, he was the first man to have knowledge and wisdom in writing from Yahuwah. Let's go to Jubilee chapter 4. We're gonna read this. See, so this because we got to prove a point. Jubilee chapter 4. Kim, you want to get that for me? Please.
He's turning.
Jubilee chapter 4, verse 17 through 26. Go ahead and read it when you get there, sister.
Jubilee's what?
Jubilee's what?
Chapter 4,
Okay,
verse 17 through 26.
okay. Jubilees chapter 4, scripture 17. And he was the first among men that are born on earth, who learned writing and knowledge and wisdom, and who wrote down the signs of heaven according to the order of their months in a sefer, that men might know the seasons of the years according to the order of their separate months. And he was the first to write a testimony, and he testified to the sons of men among the generations of the earth. And
Right, because he was teaching them. He was testifying. He was teaching them. Go ahead.
And he recounted the weeks of the Jubilees and made known to them the days of the years. And he set in order the months and recounted the Shabbat of the years as we made them known to him. And what was and what will be, he saw in a vision of his sleep, as it will happen to the children of men throughout their generations until the day of judgment. He saw and understood everything, and he wrote his testimony and placed the testimony on earth for all the children of men and for all their generations.
Okay, so I mean, this knowledge is known. If we went into Enoch and so we started snooping around and Jubilee and Jasher, we'll see this brother was teaching people too. And he got to the point he got tired of teaching, man. So he started hiding himself. See, but that's sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to, because he separated himself. Because all he wanted to do was learn about Yahuwah. He didn't really, and I don't know, you could look at it and say maybe he didn't really care about the people, but he kept trying to teach the people and they still was being wicked and all these things. So this brother was like, man, let me get away from these people. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to separate yourself from things that's hindering you. All right. Let's go to Jasher chapter 3 and 4. But the point we're looking for is that this brother was the first that was picking up writing and he was recording these things. And he's still going to be recording these things. Because what he writes down is going to be one of the witnesses that's going to be against you. Somebody have a question? Okay, Jasher chapter 3, verse 4. Tim.
And he said, rise, go forth from your house and from the place where you do hide yourself, and appear to the sons of men, in order that you may teach them the way in which they should go, and the work which they must accomplish to enter in the ways of Elohim.
Okay. Now, where else? Then we read that somewhere else. Then the Father said, teach them in the ways that they must walk and the things that they must do. See? So when we know scripture, it's easy to line these books up. Okay, now let's keep rolling.
And Shema yourself according to the word of Yahuwah, and went forth from his house, from his place, and from the chamber in which he was concealed. And he went to the sons of men, and he taught them the ways of Yahuwah. And at that time, he also assembled the sons of men and acquainted them with the instructions of Yahuwah.
Okay, and what are the instructions? Torah.
Torah.
Right. Okay, stop right there, Kim.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Yahuwah makes a covenant with Noah, He passes knowledge down to Shem and Abraham. See? Because the knowledge was passed down to Noah from Enoch. See, and Methuselah was with Noah talking to men for 120 years, teaching this thing. And in 120 years, they still didn't conform, right? And then the knowledge was passed down to Abraham. So Enoch is born. He was the firstborn. And in the 11th Jubilee, Jared took to himself a wife, and her name was Barakah, the daughter of Rashual, a daughter of his father's brother, in the 4th week of this Jubilee. And she bare him a son in the 5th week, and in the 4th year of the Jubilee, and he called his name Enoch. And if you can learn how to manipulate this calendar, boy, you can get kind of close to what's going on right now. And he was the first among men that are born on the earth who learned writing and knowledge and wisdom, and who wrote down the signs of the heaven according to the order of their months in a book, that men might know the seasons of the years according to the order of their separate months. Kim just graciously read this for us, but I just put it up here again. And he was the first to write a testimony, and he testified to the sons of men among the generations of the earth, and recounted the weeks of the Jubilees, and made known to them the days of the years, and set in order the months, and recounted the Shabbats of the years as we made them known to him. All right, as we made them known to him, right? So the Elohim made this known to him. So Abraham was born. Jasher chapter 7. Terah was 70 years old when he begat him, and Terah called the name of his son that was born to him Abram, because the king had raised him in those days and dignified him above all his princes that were with him. So you see, Abraham was the firstborn. And when Abraham came out from the cave, he went to Noah and his son Shem. So we remember that Nimrod was trying to kill him. Right, so Terah actually took another baby that was not Abram to him, and they took him and Nimrod bashed the child's head against a stone and killed him. But at this time, Abraham was hiding in the cave. Right, he had him hiding in the cave. Now, and when Abraham came out of the cave, he went to Noah and his son Shem, and he remained with them to learn the instruction of Yahweh and his ways. And no man knew where Abraham was. Abraham served Noah and Shem, his son, for a long time. Abraham was in Noah's house 39 years. And Abraham knew Yahuwah from 3 years old. Because remember, he was little when he was in the cave. He was a little baby. So that tells us for 3 years he was in the cave. He came out, and he came and lived with Noah and Shem, and grew up and was taught the instructions of Yahuwah for 39 years. That's how he was able, when you go to Genesis chapter 26, it said, because Abraham kept his statutes, his commandments, and his laws. See, that's how he was able to do that before Moses was even around. See, the proof is in the pudding. And all the sons of the earth in those days greatly transgressed against Yahuwah, and they rebelled against him, and they served other elves. And they forgot Yahuwah had created them in the earth, and the inhabitants of the earth made unto themselves at that time every man his own El. Right? So right now, every man has their own El now. You'll see cats that got a certain type of car. He out there washing that car every Saturday. On the Saturday, he's washing it, he waxing it, he making sure it's player ready, as they say. You see what I'm saying? You know, you got people that people worship all kinds of stuff. They home. You know what I'm saying? They might have a special set of jewelry that they love so much. They got it locked up in a safe, so that can't nobody get their idol. And they like putting that idol on and being out in front of the people. So this is my idol, right? They even give you a show with this type of stuff. And every day you faithful, you're gonna be right there faithful watching that show. See? You ain't gonna make Sabbath class, but you're gonna be right there watching that show. Or Sunday, here you are on Sunday. You got to watch the football game. You got your beer, you got your liquor, you got your chicken wings, you got your sandwiches. You ain't moving no matter what. No, don't cut off your phone, because you want to concentrate on what you worship, on what your El is. Okay? We got to be careful of that. There's all kind of things that can end up being idle. So we got to be careful of that, right? And they forgot Yahuwah who had created them in the earth, and the inhabitants of the earth made unto themselves. At that time, every man his Elohim of wood and stone, which could neither speak, hear, nor deliver, and the sons of men served them, and they became their Elohim. And we see that still going on today with various different things, right? Now, and Yahuwah Almighty said, open his mouth and his ears, that he may hear and speak with his mouth, with the language which has been revealed, for it had ceased from the mouths of all the children. When did that happen? The Tower of Babel, of men from the day of the overthrow. When was the overthrow? The day of the Tower of Babel. And I opened his mouth and his ears and his lips, and I began to speak with him in Hebrew, in the tongue of the creation. So Hebrew, not this Yiddish stuff we got now. I mean, at one time, the original language was Hebrew. That was the language that was spoken in Shamayim, because when he was talking to him, he had to, so when he was talking to Abraham, because he went out there to looking at the stars and all these things, this can't be Elohim. So when Elohim started talking to him, he opened his ears so that he can hear him. And then he transferred that to him. So now he can speak this language. And he took the books of his fathers, and these were written in Hebrew, and he transcribed them, and he began from henceforth to study them. And I made known to him that which he could not understand. And he studied them during the 6 rainy months. So you know what that lets me know? If you want to really learn this Hebrew alphabet, you can do it in 6 months, because I learned it within 6 months. So if you just even want to learn the alphabet, which I keep encouraging y'all to do, and I know I might be getting on y'all nerves, but you're gonna see once you do that and you start looking at something like the blue, like Kim, you like to look at that Bible hub, you're gonna be like, wow, I see what Sal was talking about now. See? So again, I don't want to beat nobody down with it, because I know sometimes how I can be. I don't mean to be that way, so I gotta watch myself. But again, you know, it's easy to do. If you can learn a rap song, or if you can learn your favorite a person that, you know, when you was out there, before we was thinking about y'all, you had songs that you liked and you listened to them, and you could be popping your fingers and you knew every word. And Hebrew is easier than that. Please believe. Now, Genesis 11:26. We can go there. See that Abraham is born, right? Let's go there, Trey. Genesis 11:26. Are you back, young man? Okay. Wife 11, Genesis 11:26.
Come on.
Everybody all right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure, because we still got a little time left. All right. Who is that down there?
Yes.
You must have let him in. Okay, you must have let him in. Go ahead. Genesis 11:26.
And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran.
Okay, so we see that I'm hitting his brothers. Now, Genesis chapter 12, verse 1-3 now.
Now Yahuwah has said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curses thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed.
All right, in him all the families of the earth be blessed, right? Now watch this. What did he do? He was faithful. Because what did he do? He separated himself from everybody. You don't think that was hard to do? To leave his folks? But you gotta be able to separate yourself from those that ain't. I mean, I'm not saying no, you can't go visit them and y'all have y'all little things y'all do. You know what I mean? But I mean, when it comes to this, to trying to walk this walk, you gotta separate yourself. And some of the things that they do, you're not gonna be able to do if you want to be faithful. Genesis 15:6.
And he believed in Yahuwah, and he counted it unto him for righteousness.
So the word here, believe, is the Hebrew word aman, or amunah, which is H number 539. And guess what? It equals faithful, confirm, be certain. He was being, because when he got ready to put his son up there, what did Yahuwah say? Now I know. See, what did he know before? Now I know. He called him his friend, because he could be trusted to do what he said. All right, let's go to Genesis chapter 17 now, verse 1 through 8. We're going to look at another part of this covenant that made with him and his seed. Go ahead. We already just told him he's going to be blessed. All the families on the earth is going to be blessed with him. How? How is that? Because of the covenant that he made, right? Not only the covenant that he made, if we walk like Abraham and are faithful, we're going to get the same thing. See, y'all is no respect of a person. Just do what he says to the fullest, and he's going to come through for you. That's whoever you are. That's the beauty of Yahweh. See? He's not like Hasatan, like the joke that Noel told from the beginning. He gonna hang you out to dry eventually. And we see that people, these stars, they go and they do them rituals to get what they. And I found that video I was looking for too. They do these different rituals and all this to gain this power and this money and this prestige. And then before you know it, when they do a video, where are they now? The House of Time done took everything from them. They living up in the building, shut up in the building, and you know what I mean, sick and stuff crap all piled all over the place like Melba Moore. Remember they found her in the project. After all that big career and all that money, when House of Time, he takes his stuff back. Y'all don't do that. You serve him, he gonna give you everything that he, in his will, that your little heart desire, that he know that you can handle, and you're gonna be comfortable. You ain't gotta stress about that. He don't never change, right? Whether it be for the good or for the bad. Go ahead, wife. Genesis chapter 17, verse 1 through 8.
And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Yahuwah appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty Elohim. Walk before me and be thou perfect.
Be thou mature. Go ahead.
And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and I will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and Elohim talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham.
Right.
For the father of many nations have I made thee.
Right. So he added the Aleph to his name, which made Abram, Abraham. Right. So that shows that they was in covenant because the Aleph represents the father. And we must consider what we just got done reading. And he was talking to him. He was talking to him in the heavenly language. And guess what? Abraham had studied. Now he understood exactly what the father was saying. Go ahead.
And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be an Elohim unto thee and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their Elohim.
Right, but we know Canaan ended up being Jerusalem. Let's go to Galatians now, chapter 3. We're going to hit verse 16 and verse 29. Now, I know before that I was saying that Shem was, and I had to mention this again because I don't think I mentioned it. I did the class over because the last class didn't come out. And when I said that Shem is Melchizedek, again, to the Jewish community, Shem is Melchizedek. To the Christian community, Melchizedek is the Mashiach. So you have two different views on it. So I know my nephew was saying he wanted to do some research on that. You all go ahead and do your research. But again, that's the conclusion that you're going to come to. But you still need to do that for yourself. You have two different answers that you're going to get for this, right? Me personally, I want to say it was Mashiach. But I mean, again, all we know is that the order itself, right, had no beginning and no end, right? We know that for a fact. So some people look at it that way. That's something that, like I said, you would have to look into for yourself and come to your own conclusion. Because that's one of another big argument or a supposed great mystery. Right? So Galatians chapter 3, verse 16, and then jump down to verse 29.
Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He said not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is the Mashiach.
Mm-hmm.
And if ye be the Mashiachs, then you are indeed Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise.
Mm-hmm. Now by Yahusha, the Almighty. Let's go to Revelation chapter 1, verse 7 through 8.
Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen.
All right, the Aleph Tav. Go ahead.
I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith Yahuwah, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty.
The Almighty. So that's the Aleph Tav. So we see in Genesis 11:27 that Lot is also a firstborn, right? So Shem was still alive, so Abraham could not be the Melchizedek. I put that there because, again, you're going to get that when you start looking. That's some of these scholars that lean toward Jewish writing. I'm just trying to show you guys the difference with this stuff. That's what they're going to say. Well, see, he couldn't be the Melchizedek because Shem was still alive. So he still, even though he was faithful in these types of things. I do these type of things so I give you guys an example. All right, let's keep rolling. Now, Genesis 12:4, Abraham is Lot's keeper, right? Genesis 14:1 through 12, he rescued Lot, he redeemed Lot, and he restores all things. Let's go to Genesis chapter 12:4. See, because he even though that the scholars say that he was not the firstborn, he still was acting like a firstborn. He still was doing the kinsman redeemer thing, the things that the kinsman redeemer does. See, and we've been seeing Noah do that. We've been seeing Enoch do. I mean, they've been trying to redeem. That we've been seeing that we know that the Mashiach did. Genesis chapter 12:4.
So Abram departed as Yahuwah had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran.
Right. Go there, because remember they end up talking about the land. But Abraham was humble. Well, your goats and your sheep are eating up this. The men are fighting over this. And what did Abraham say? He said, well, look here, man, he's an elder. He could have said, oh, look, I'll tell you what, young man, you take that over there and I'm going to take this, because he had the right to do that. But he didn't do that. So let's look at Genesis chapter 14, verse 1 through 12, and see how he rescues Lot, he redeems Lot, and he restored all things. Then we're going to go to Genesis chapter 15, 1 through 18, and see he receives his reward for being faithful. Go ahead.
Genesis 14:1. And it came to pass in the days of Arelaphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Eleazar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, kings of nations, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Adam, and Shedaber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Belar, which is Zoar. And these were joined together in the vale of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, And the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims in Ashtaroth, Kararam, and Zedoms in Ham, and Emams in Shavar, Kirathaim, and the Horites in the Mount Seir unto Ephraim, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to Enmishpath, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazazontamar. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Belar, the same is Zoar, and they joined battle with them in the vale of Siddim.
Mm-hmm.
And Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and with Tidal, kings of nations, and with Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings with 5.
Okay, now this Chedorlaomer. For y'all homework, I want y'all to break this person down using your interlinears, and I want to know who this man was. Very important. I'll find out something. But go ahead, why?
And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits of the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and they remained fled to the mountains. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their victuals and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, and dwelt in Sodom, and their goods, and departed.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother Aner, and those were confederate with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah,
Right.
which is on the left hand of Damascus.
Okay, so he redeemed his brother, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 15, 1 through 18, and see what he gets for that, right? What he got for that.
After these things, the word of Yahuwah came unto Abram in the vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Yahuwah, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of Yahuwah came unto him, saying, This shall not be your heir, but that shall come out from out of thine own bowels shall be thy heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward the Shamaim, and tell the stars, if they be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. And he believed in Yahuwah, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
Okay, he believed in him, right? And he counted it to him for righteousness. Go ahead.
And he said unto him, I am Yahuwah that bought thee out of Ur, of the land of the Chaldees, to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Yahuwah Elohim, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece against one another.
Okay, now is anybody noticing something? Where have you seen these animals before?
Sacrifice.
Right. Noah used some of the same animals, and you're going to see them later on in the priesthood. Go ahead.
And he took unto him all these things, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him.
So he started seeing what was going to happen to his seed in the future. Go ahead.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance.
Right. A lot of people try to for years been saying, well, this is the captivity we're in now. This 400 years. Man, they've been saying 400 years since I was a teenager. So he know it was Egypt. But people are arguing, no, that has to be right now. It wasn't Egypt. Look, man, we've been here for more than 400 years. See, way long. But you're here.
I got a question.
Yeah.
If the children of Israel, that was already foretold that was going to happen, correct?
Right.
So if that was already foretold that was going to happen, I mean, the Most High had already basically said, these people are going to sin against me, so I'm going to punish them. So how do they say it? If our sin is already predestined for us, we don't really have a choice then, right?
No, it's not predestined. It's the choice that you make. This is how the Father looks at it. If you go he told you, don't turn from the left, don't go to the right, stay on the path. So if they would stay on the path, these are the blessings and things that I got waiting on. But if you go to the left or go to the right, these are the things that's going to happen to you. He always.
What I'm saying is they hadn't even sinned yet.
I know that, but guess what? No, because you got to understand, it's the Father, right? They still had a choice, and they chose the other way. We've been seeing this all through so far as we've been studying, that Enoch was trying to teach man. They didn't want this, right? Then, each patriarch or each person that was trying to, because even in Noah's time, the ones that was following the right way, what did y'all do? He killed them. He took their life from them so that they wouldn't have to see the evil that he brought on the earth. So you have a choice. There's a choice that's going to be made. But like you said, you can look at it that way. Okay, he already knew that they were going to do wrong. But that doesn't mean that they had to do wrong. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's up to you to do whatever. But being as he knows his creator, okay, he's saying, okay, in other words, again, the mind of Yahoo. All right, this is what's going to happen. Because I know this is what they're going to do. But they didn't have to do that because all of them didn't do that. Because when we look at the elders, when Moses said, all that is with Yahuwah, come to me right now. And the people that was with him was coming to him crying, Moses, Moses. So they was coming to him. But then what happened to the rest of them? They got swallowed up in the ground and the Levites chopped the rest of them up. So that means that the Levites wouldn't at the party. They wouldn't at the golden calf ceremony. And they redeemed themselves for what they had did to, because of Dinah, they redeemed themselves with the sword. So again, you always have a choice. See, but he just knew that some of his people was going to be this way, but not all of them, because the book tells us that he always keeps a remnant. He always has a small amount of people that's willing to do whatever they have to do, that's willing to take the pain, which is willing to suffer for righteousness. Did that help you? Or did that make sense?
That helped. When the children of Israel came out of captivity, how many tribes was that came out?
When it came out, it was everybody. It was
all 12 tribes then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means everybody got punished. So even if there was a small remnant, the small remnant got punished along with everybody else, even though that small remnant was righteous, correct?
Everybody didn't get punished.
They was in captivity, right?
They was in captivity. What happened was when we read Exodus, when they left and they went down to Egypt, and Joseph ended up being Potiphar's main man. Okay, and everything was good, but then you had another Pharaoh that took over that did not know the children, so he started oppressing the children. See, they wasn't being punished by Yahuwah, they was being oppressed by the dragon. And we can go to Ezekiel and show you that Pharaoh was likened to a dragon. So the people was crying, Yah sent them Moshe to rescue them. Once they came out, because he said, what he did was he used the pillar of fire and the cloud to lead them, to draw them out. Wait. Listen. He used a pillar of fire and a cloud by day, pillar of fire by night, to bring them out to the mountain of Sinai, to the temple. And that is where he proposed to marry them. So he was not punishing them. They was just being oppressed by a dragon that he rescued them from. Once they got out in the wilderness, everything was fine. He made a covenant with them, just like he made a covenant with Abraham just now. And blood was blood, because blood always has to be involved in the covenant. He made a covenant with them. He proposed to them. They said that all that you say we will do. And what did they do? Not even a day or two after they got married, when Moshe went back up to the mountain to get the covenant seal, or the proof of the covenant, or the wedding rings, if you will, what did they do? They committed adultery with Apaz, the golden.
I get that, but you said that it was we just agreed that it was a forced, it was prophesied that they were going to be in captivity.
Right.
And that was, I looked at that was punishment for sin, right? But you said
no, it wasn't punishment for sin, because at that time, again, like I said, here they are. When Joseph went down to Egypt, everything was fine. He went down there with all the other souls, his father, his brothers, and all these type of things. He was fine. But then another Pharaoh, because the Pharaoh that was there at that time, him and Joseph had no problem. But then they had another Pharaoh, after he died, another Pharaoh rose up, and the book said he did not know the children of Israel. So he started oppressing them. It was no punishment from Yahuwah. It was just the condition that they found themselves in. Because you got to remember, when we go and we see how Israel was when he found her. Remember, she was thrown in the field, full of blood. Nobody had swallowed her anything. He took her and he raised her up, cleaned her up, dressed her up. You see what I'm saying? But when she sinned against him, this is when the problem came. See, it's a difference when we being oppressed, like right now. Right now, we in the condition we are in, not because of something that's because somebody just is like a dragon that's over us. It is a dragon that's over us, but because of our disobedience is why we are in, because he's doing this to us. At that time, he wasn't doing this to us. That was a Pharaoh that was doing this to us, and he rescued us. If that makes any sense to you. It's like when you look at the story of some of these medieval movies. Everything.
Hold on, real quick. So you just answered the question, and I didn't want to take you off topic of this, what you got going on. But I just thought I always had thought all of Israel's captivities were because of sin, punishment.
Yes.
But now I guess that's not true. So
you're absolutely right. After the golden calf. But before, in Egypt, they didn't do anything wrong. They was full of Egyptian culture, because we noticed that as they started going in the wilderness, they kept murmuring, well, why did he bring us out here to die? We want to go back, at least in Egypt, even though they was beating us down, we still have, our pots was full and all this type of stuff. So their mind was full of Egyptian culture. This is why when he rescued them, because see, he rescued her. You know, it was his woman. He went, and that's why when you watch these medieval movies and you have a dragon, everything is fine, the community is good. Then all of a sudden this dragon shows up. He starts burning up everything, killing people, snatching horses and taking off. And then they need a champion to go slay the dragon. Well, all that comes from this book, because he went and rescued them. It's nothing that they did wrong against him. After the golden calf is when the captivity started happening because of evil. But before then, no. But after the golden calf, this is when the plagues was putting on them for murmuring. he even made an oath saying that all of y'all under 20 years old will not make it out of this wilderness because of your wickedness. But before then, that had nothing to do with them being wicked toward him. After that is when he started opposing the different curses and the different things and raising up the Assyrians, because the Assyrians wasn't nothing. He created them just to punish Israel. He put in Nebuchadnezzar, he raised up Nebuchadnezzar just to come and crush it. And see, so this is what he does, but that's after the golden calf. Before then, no. Okay, so where were we at now?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Noel.
The feast, all the feasts, Yom Kippur and everything else really didn't start until after the Exodus. Is that right?
No, it started while they was in Egypt, because you got to remember, what did Moses ask the Pharaoh? He said, let us go out in the wilderness to keep a feast. And they were so worried about that they wanted to go 3 days journey because of the abomination, because they knew that the Egyptians worship sheep and the ram. And we know that one of our sacrifices is what? They were supposed to take the sheep and take the blood and put it over a doorpost, which would have been automatic death, because now you taking our God and you killing it and putting blood over your doorpost. That's why they wanted to go out to keep the feast to Yahweh. Also, we just got done reading in the Jubilees how that Abraham kept the feast, that Noah kept the feast, right? That's how he ended up getting drunk. Or maybe we didn't read. I thought we read that. Maybe we did. But the feasts have always been here, and they celebrated in the Shamayim, and as they was celebrated on the earth.
Okay, but the blood on the doorpost was the Passover. Wasn't that the first Passover?
The blood on the doorpost did represent the Passover, right? But it's also a feast.
Okay, I didn't realize that feast was there before the Exodus.
Yeah. Matter of fact, maybe we can look at that after class if we want to a little bit, because that's how Noah ended up being drunk. He was celebrating a feast. See?
Which feast was he celebrating when he got drunk?
That's the thing. I'm not clear on that.
All right.
I'm not clear on that one. I've heard different things to say what feast it was, but the book, it never says. Some people are going to say it was this, some people were going to say it was that. But reading Jubilees, it never makes plain what feast it is. And you have some cats that say, well, according to the calendar, it was this, according to the calendar, it was that. I don't know I don't know which one it was. So I can't say, but that's something we can look into. Because again, all right. But the feast of always
might have been feast of the new moon.
Well, we know the new moon is a Sabbath, because it mentions that the new moon in it. Because I can see you've been reading, and that's good. It mentions the new moon, but the new moon we actually supposed to have a Sabbath for the new moon anyway. But we haven't gotten to that yet. We're going to get to that, and I'm going to make sure that we get to that. But that's a Sabbath as well, because even if we go into the priesthood and look at the way the animals were sacrificed, well, on the new moon, everything like triples and doubles for the animals that have to be offered. So we know it's a powerful day. Yep, and we also know that when David was around, that Saul had a feast every new moon, because he was asking his son, well, where's David at? He know he's supposed to be here for this feast, because they was having a feast at the king's palace on every new moon. But we're going to get to that. And matter of fact, we're going to get to that in this series. Because once we do that, Tim and Noel gave me a beautiful calendar with all the phases of the moon. And so, we're going to start doing that. We're definitely going to start keeping those. But I'm trying to get you guys just to, first of all, get used to even coming to class, keeping the Sabbath. And then we're trying to work on keeping, doing our fasting and all this type of stuff. So we're going to get there. Y'all knows it's in our heart to do it, and we're going to do it. We're going to get there. No doubt about it. So, all right. Now, and I see, well, I already know, Nate, you're going to read anyway, but that's a good answer that you gave, but again, I've heard this, it was Shavuot, you know what I'm saying? Some people, I've heard some elders say it was Shavuot. I've heard different things. Again, I have not found any clarity on that, but I'm going to look into that, because these are good questions that you guys are asking, and I'm glad. All that I answer everything I can, and those that I don't have answers for, I will get them for you. Like we're going to go over the questions that you asked me about these other things about Noah, about Moses marrying an Ethiopian woman and all these type of things. So we're going to get to that. I haven't forgotten that, Noel. I want you to know that. All right. So let's see. Okay. So where were you at now?
15, and I had just ended 13.
Okay, go ahead. Let's continue. Genesis 15, we at verse 13. Good questions, y'all. Good questions. Again, in this class, there is no bad question. All questions are warranted because people need to understand. I'm just hoping that I can answer them as best as I can. If not, if you want to go after this class, we can still open book and go search it out together so we can prove this. We don't have a problem with that. I know I don't care about that. It make no difference to me. Go ahead, wife.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance.
Right, because he's punishing the nation for what they did to them, not the other way around. See?
And thou shalt
Go ahead.
And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full.
Right, not yet full. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces.
Right.
In the same day, Yahuwah made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river Euphrates.
Right. Did you notice now? They said the smoking lamp and the burning furnace. Some say that was the Father and the Son that did that. Some people say it was just Yahuwah Elohim, because we know when we go through the scriptures, he's always likening himself to a furnace, to fire, to flames, but guess what? Abraham was in a trance. He didn't walk through no pieces, but guess what? So the covenant still was made because the walk of blood was made. See, and then guess what? Also that was done so that, because once a covenant is made and it's broken, there has to be a punishment. Something has to die. We're going to see that as we go along in this. But we're gonna break down this covenant too. We're gonna finally get down, break down this. I put it in other videos. We're gonna go through that again while we're up here, because we have to understand what a covenant is. See, there's different elements to that covenant, and we just got done reading this, so we see that Abraham actually made a covenant, and the walk of blood was made. If anybody has watched that class that I put up there, which everybody should have by now, a Torah, a love story. I showed you exactly, well, some fragments on how the Mashiach did everything, right? The garments was exchanged. There was a vow. Some words were exchanged. Boom. Okay, because we can go there and see that he was made a priest after the order of Melchizedek, and no vow was taken. But we're going to see in the priesthood there was no vow taken, right? We can see that there was bread that was broken. Because that's what covenants are made of, when people sit down and eat together. What do you think when we come to the feast days and we sit down breaking bread together? That's showing that we're in covenant with each other and that we're in covenant with Yahuwah. Right? Then we saw that there was a walk of blood. We saw that garments was exchanged. Right? So now he put on the priestly garments. We saw that there was a walk of blood. When he walked from the temple, or from the palace of the Pharisees or the Hasmonean palace, and then he walked out to be the burnt offering that the priest could not take a part of. We read that, right? That's as Paul told you that. So he could not partake of this, but the priest had the right to partake of certain parts of the animal when it was killed, but not the burnt offering, which is a friendship offering. Then we show in that lesson how there has to be a covenant seal. In other words, proof of the seal, proof of the covenant. So that was in his hands and in his side that way he was pierced. He showed that to Thomas. So again, we have to understand what covenants are. So we're going to stop right here because it's 10 after. And we'll come back to this, but we're going to see how Abraham in Genesis chapter 26 and 5 kept the statutes, laws, and commandments because it was passed down to him from the books of his fathers. Abraham built an altar, a duty of a firstborn, right? Because we see that all of them have been doing it, all the way down. Jacob, everybody knew how to build an altar and how to do the sacrifice. Except in this case, Isaac would end up being the sacrifice, right? And so we see the keeping of the law of Yahuwah shows that you are Abraham's seed. We're going to get to that next week. So we're going to stop right here. And is there any other questions? Hold on a minute. Let me do this here. Let me go ahead and do this here. All right. Stop right there.
All right, I got one.